Welcome back to the Green Workbench. Today we're going to talk about building a wall sconce out of a mason jar. If you've looked at my previous lessons on how to color tint a mason jar with food coloring and Mod Podge or decoupage glue, this is one of the things that you can do with that mason jar. Create a nice looking wall sconce. So we'll talk about a couple options on that today and give you some ideas on how to put it together. Okay, so your first step is to choose your base or the board that you're going to use. I chose some barn wood from my grandfather's barn, so that has some meaning to me. But you can choose that or anything else you want. You can use a nice finished piece of wood that's stained, finished, routed edges and everything. Or you can use a piece of reclaimed wood, finish it however you want, whether you want a rustic look. You know, I personally think that with the mason jar, the rustic look goes well with it. So that's what I went with. And then you need to decide how you're going to orient your lamp, whether it's going to be like that or up and down. I went up and down the long ways on the board. So I'm going to set up the lamp apparatus up at the top. So the first thing you need to prepare to secure the mason jar to the board by using a hose clamp. And the size of hose clamp you choose depends on the size of mason jar you're using. You just need to be able to slip in and tighten. And once you choose that, then it's time to fasten that hose clamp to your board. There are different ways to fasten the hose clamp to the board. I'm going to show you what I did. So I widened these slits with the drill. I drilled a hole and widened it here at the end. And then I used a small little bolt. You can see the nut there. And fastened it that way. And then I took two staples and hammered those in on either side of that bolt. So that hose clamp is not moving anywhere. And you can do one or the other or both, it doesn't matter, or just use a screw instead of a bolt. Bottom line is it just needs to be secure on that board. And remember, your mason jar, as it hangs down, will fall against the board underneath it, which takes some pressure off of your hose clamp. Next we work on the lighting hardware. So you can actually go to the store and buy the lighting hardware new, or you can go to a thrift store like I did, spend $2 on a lamp and take the lamp apart. So I took the lamp apart. You take the lid to your mason jar, drill a hole in the center, slip your lamp assembly up through the hole and tighten it down. And that's how the lamp is designed to be clamped on anyway, so it works perfectly. And then I drilled 3 extra holes for heat dissipation so that heat from your bulb is not contained just in the lamp, it has a way to escape. Now, in order to run the cord through your wood, you have to cut it. So I cut the cord, drilled another hole, ran that cord through that hole, and then ran it through the wood to the back here. And then I have my cord running all the way down with these cord clamps that you use a lot for cable, to run cable. That just holds it against the board. Now this is the spot where my cord was cut, is right where I have this switch. And again, you can buy the switch easily at the hardware store or online. And this is a Leviton brand, and that makes it very convenient. In order to, it attaches the two ends of the cord back together, but also provides you a separate switch. Okay, if you're not familiar with these switches, they're really easy. You have one end that runs continuous all the way through. So that one I soldered together and electrical taped, and it runs here into the bottom. The other side is your switch side. So you just strip the plastic off, screw it down under the screws so that it makes a good connection with the metal, and that's your switch that opens and closes that circuit. And that's all there is to it. It's really simple. So if you noticed, the lamp hardware that I got had a switch on the top as well. So I didn't actually need this switch, but it's still a good, convenient way to reconnect the cord that I had to cut in order to run it through the holes. The other option is if you have that switch at the top anyway and you want to use that switch, you can just go ahead and use wire nuts, hide them in the back, and no one will ever see them. But because of where it's hanging on the wall, it's actually easier to reach this switch than the one on top of the lamp. So you have a couple different options once you have that put together, and we'll go over those now. Okay, I'm just using this bulb, but one of your options is to just use a clear mason jar and get an Edison bulb, so the bulb itself is what looks cool. Otherwise, close the lid, screw it down, and you can see my wires are just right there above it. So it's not really visible unless you get up and look at it up close and from the top. I tighten my hose clamp. You want it to be tight enough to hold, but it doesn't have to be crazy tight. So there we have our colored mason jar. It looks pretty cool. Gives a nice blue hue or whatever color you're using. And I'll show you one other option. Okay, so this one's pretty cool. So the wood was from my paternal grandfather, and my maternal grandfather had saved all of these stamps. And so what I did is I took all the stamps and I used Mod Podge decoupage glue and glued them to the inside of the mason jar with that glue. Let it dry. And that creates a pretty cool look as the light shines through those stamps that he saved. 6-cent airmail stamps and 8-cent airmail stamps from back in the day. So that's another option with your mason jar, something like that. They don't have to be stamps, but something else that will look cool with the light shining through, basically backlighting it. Just use that decoupage glue, glue them to the inside of your jar, and you've created a pretty cool lamp. So there you have it, a mason jar wall sconce. You have a lot of options on what you want it to look like and how you want to do it, but it's very cheap. Less than $1 for your hose clamp, a couple staples and screws. The lamp can be something you've got lying around the house, or a couple bucks at the thrift store. and put it all together, and you have a really cool piece for not very much money, and it's really easy to put together. So I hope you enjoyed this project. Please leave any comments or questions below, and I'll answer them as best as I can. And let me know how it worked for you if you decide to try it yourself. And I hope to catch you again on another lesson on the green workbench. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.